Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Clara lived in a remote village nestled between hills and forests, where time seemed to flow more slowly than anywhere else. An orphan since childhood, she shared a small, dilapidated house with her ailing grandmother. Every day was a struggle against poverty. She sewed clothes for the villagers and rose before dawn to fetch water from the fountain. Despite this difficult life, Clara held within her a heart full of dreams and an unwavering faith in true love. One winter evening, as snow began to blanket the muddy paths, Clara walked slowly, exhausted after a long day's work. Her hands were frozen, her feet trembling in her worn shoes. Turning a corner in a dark alley, she saw a young man sitting on an old bench, his clothes in tatters, his face hidden under a hood. He held out his hand, asking passers-by for a few coins, but most ignored him or brushed him away with contempt. Clara felt a strange compassion. He was unlike the other beggars in the village. There was a gentleness, an intelligence, almost an infinite sadness in his eyes. Without thinking, she took some coins from her purse and placed them in his trembling hand. "Thank you," he murmured, his deep, soft voice echoing in the icy silence of the alley. At that moment, an invisible bond seemed to form between them. Clara didn't yet know that this encounter would change her life forever. As the days went by, their paths crossed again. The young man, whose name was Nathan, spoke to her gently, showing interest in her dreams, her sorrows. He had no home, no wealth, and yet, Clara felt safe with him. The villagers murmured from behind their windows, "Why is Clara interested in a poor beggar?" But she didn't listen to them. For her, Nathan wasn't poor, he had a rich heart, and that was what mattered. Weeks passed, and their affection blossomed into a quiet but powerful love. Then, one snowy evening, Nathan took Clara's hand and, with a shy but sincere smile, asked her to marry him. Despite her fear of judgment and malicious whispers, Clara accepted. Little did she know that her choice would reveal a secret capable of shocking the entire village and changing their destinies forever. The wedding day arrived, and the whole village seemed alive with a mixture of excitement and curiosity. The narrow streets were decorated with colorful garlands, lanterns, and wildflowers that Clara had picked herself. The villagers whispered behind their hands, wondering why the poor girl had chosen a beggar as her companion. Clara, dressed in a simple yet elegant dress she had lovingly sewn, stood before the mirror. Her heart was pounding. Every fold of her dress, every strand of hair gathered into a neat bun, reflected her determination. She was marrying the man she loved, regardless of what others thought. Nathan appeared in the small courtyard of Clara's family home, his simple clothes a stark contrast to the importance of the day. Yet his gaze was bright, filled with gentleness and respect. He approached her, and in his eyes, Clara saw all the tenderness in the world. At that precise moment, all the whispers and mockery of the village seemed to vanish. The ceremony took place in the small village chapel. The wooden pews creaked under the weight of the curious villagers. The priest, an elderly man with a kind face, watched them with a discreet smile. When the time came for the vows, Nathan took Clara's hand and, his voice trembling but steady, declared, "Clara, I will love you in poverty as in wealth, in sorrow as in joy, as long as we live." Clara felt tears welling up in her eyes. She replied with conviction, "Nathan, I will love you for who you are, and for everything we will be together, no matter what happens." At the end of the ceremony, when they exchanged rings, a hush fell over the chapel. The villagers, initially skeptical, were struck by the sincerity and strength of their love. Some looked away, embarrassed by their own judgment, while others couldn't help but smile at such purity. After the ceremony, Clara and Nathan stepped out into the snow-covered courtyard. The lanterns twinkled around them like stars fallen from the sky. As the gentle breeze carried away the last whispers of the onlookers, Clara sensed that, despite Nathan's unassuming appearance, this mysterious man possessed a secret, an invisible treasure that would one day astonish the entire village. After the wedding, Clara and Nathan settled into a small rented house on the edge of the village. It wasn't large, and certainly not luxurious, but it was their home, and every corner of it already resonated with their happiness. The whitewashed walls were cracked with age, the floorboards creaked under their feet, and the icy wind sometimes seeped in through the poorly sealed windows, but none of this could dampen Clara's joy. Every morning, Clara got up at dawn to prepare breakfast. Nathan, always attentive and gentle, sometimes helped her fetch water or tidy the garden. Together, they shared these simple moments, punctuated by birdsong and the rustling of the wind in the trees. Clara learned to recognize his gestures, his laughter, his silences, and with each of Nathan's smiles, she felt her love grow. Yet, despite this simple life, some things puzzled Clara. Nathan would sometimes disappear for several days without explanation, then return with small sums of money or surprising gifts, a fine piece of fabric for a new outfit, some biscuits they could never have afforded otherwise, or a bouquet of wildflowers. Clara suspected her husband was hiding a secret, but every time she tried to talk about it, Nathan dodged the question with a mysterious smile. The villagers continued to watch them with curiosity. The more malicious ones still whispered about this beggar-turned-husband, while others, more tolerant, admired their close bond. Clara, however, paid little attention to the murmurs. She knew that Nathan's heart was sincere, and that was all that mattered. One evening, as they were dining by the flickering light of a candle, Nathan took Clara's hand and said in a deep but gentle voice, "Clara, life has many surprises in store for us. You'll soon see that what you think you know is only part of the truth." Clara frowned, intrigued and slightly worried. She didn't yet know that these words heralded the beginning of an upheaval capable of changing their destiny and revealing to the village a secret that no one could have imagined. Thus began their daily life, simple in appearance, but already full of mysteries, where love seemed enough to fill all the voids, until the day the truth would finally come out. The weeks passed, and Clara and Nathan's life seemed peaceful, almost idyllic. Each morning, the birdsong announced their routine. Clara prepared breakfast, Nathan helped in the garden or repaired small household items. They shared their laughter, their confidences, and those tender silences that speak louder than 1,000 words. However, little by little, details began to intrigue Clara. Nathan often disappeared, sometimes for several days, and when he returned, he had small sums of money that he didn't seem to have earned through ordinary work. He also gave her unexpected gifts, a piece of fine fabric to sew a dress, delicate biscuits, or exotic flowers that no market in the village could provide. Clara tried to ask questions, but Nathan always responded with an enigmatic smile. "Don't worry, my dear Clara. Everything I do for you and for us." Despite her love for him, Clara couldn't help but wonder who this man really was. Her heart told her to trust him, but her mind questioned him. Was he simply resourceful in providing for their needs, or was he hiding something greater? The villagers, for their part, were quick to notice these little mysteries. Some whispered behind their shutters, "This Nathan, he's not who he claims to be. And look at all these little things he gives Clara, where could that be coming from?" One afternoon, while Clara was doing the laundry in the courtyard, she saw Nathan leave with a small briefcase under his arm. He gave her no explanation. Clara's heart sank slightly. Part of her wanted to follow him, to understand, while another part remembered the promise they had made to each other, to love each other no matter what. That evening, while dining by the flickering light of a candle, Clara mustered her courage and asked, "Nathan, where are you really going?" Nathan looked at her gently, and his eyes shone with a mysterious light. "Clara, some secrets can't be revealed too soon. All you need to know is that every move I make, every effort I put in, is for our happiness. One day, everything will become clear." Clara felt a mixture of worry and excitement. She loved Nathan deeply, but her intuition told her that behind this young man with the gentle smile hid an immense mystery, capable of changing not only their lives, but also that of the entire village. Thus, beneath the apparent tranquility of their daily lives, the first shadows of Nathan's secret began to appear, foreshadowing a future where the truth would come out and surprise everyone. A few months after their wedding, Clara and Nathan's simple life seemed to be going smoothly, but this apparent calm was about to be shattered. That evening, snow was falling gently, covering the village in a silent white blanket. Clara was preparing dinner when an unusual noise caught her attention. Several black cars had pulled up in front of their house. Men in dark suits stepped out, walking purposefully toward the door. Clara felt her heart sink. Nathan opened the door and greeted them with a respect and familiarity that left her stunned. The men spoke of accounts, companies, properties, and inheritances, words far beyond the village's vocabulary. Clara stepped back, her hands trembling. "Nathan, what's going on?" she asked, her voice almost inaudible. Nathan took her hand and guided her into the living room. His eyes, serious for the first time, stared intently at her. "Clara, it's time you knew the whole truth." He then explained what he had always kept hidden. Nathan wasn't a beggar. His family was immensely wealthy, owning several businesses and properties across the country. For years, he had chosen to live among ordinary people to understand real life, far from opulence and flattery. He wanted to find someone who would love him for who he truly was, not for his wealth. Clara felt the ground give way beneath her feet. Everything she thought she knew about Nathan, every gesture, every smile, every apparent sacrifice, had been real, but there was a hidden dimension she hadn't been aware of. Her emotions swirled: surprise, admiration, a deepening of her love, and a touch of anger at the secret she'd kept for so long. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice trembling. Nathan smiled gently. "Because I wanted to be certain. Certain that you love me for who I am, and not for what I own. And Clara, you love me, don't you?" Clara, despite her surprise, nodded. She realized that everything they had shared, all their love, was genuine. The revelation didn't change their feelings, it strengthened them. Outside, the villagers watched the scene through their windows. Some whispered, others remained frozen, unable to grasp the magnitude of the secret. Nathan and Clara knew that soon the whole village would discover the truth. But for now, in the hushed silence of their snow-covered house, they held hands, aware that their lives had just entered a new chapter, filled with surprises, power, and responsibility. The next morning, Nathan asked Clara to follow him to the center of the village. The inhabitants were already gathered in the square, intrigued by the rumor of an unusual event. The curious children peered behind the adults, while the elders murmured among themselves, some with amusement, others with suspicion. Nathan took a deep breath and stepped onto the makeshift platform set up in the center of the square. Clara, beside him, felt the weight of their stares. Silence fell instantly when Nathan raised his hand to draw attention to himself. "Villagers," he began in a clear and calm voice. "You knew me as a simple beggar, someone poor and insignificant. But the truth is quite different." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some leaned forward in disbelief. Nathan continued. "I am Nathan Montclair. My family owns businesses, land, and property across the country. I have chosen to live among you in a modest guise to understand real life and find someone who would love me for who I truly am." Shock was written all over their faces. The villagers who had mocked Clara and Nathan bit their lips, unable to find the words. Others, impressed, watched Nathan's courage with admiration. Clara felt a wave of emotion wash over her. She squeezed Nathan's hand, proud of the man he was and the secret he had kept to protect their love. Those who had criticized their union realized their mistake. True love isn't measured by appearances or wealth. To show that his wealth was not a mere privilege, Nathan announced. "My family and I are going to invest in this village. We will improve the school, the medical center, and help those in need. Clara and I want this place to thrive, while remaining true to what we love, simplicity and solidarity." The villagers, initially skeptical, began to applaud. Some children ran around Clara and Nathan, laughing and shouting with joy. The elders, usually critical, nodded respectfully. The entire village felt the weight and grandeur of this revelation, that the beggar they had ignored was in fact an exceptional man, and the love he shared with Clara had triumphed over all prejudice. Clara, her eyes shining, realized that their life had just entered a new phase. She was no longer just the young seamstress from the village, she was the wife of an exceptional man, and together they had the power to change not only their own destiny, but also that of everyone around them. With the revelation of Nathan's wealth, the couple's life changed drastically. But Clara and Nathan decided not to be blinded by luxury or their newfound power. Their priority remained the village and the people who had watched them grow up in simplicity. The first few days were spent meeting with the villagers individually, listening to their needs, and planning improvements, repairing the school, modernizing the medical center, improving the roads, and helping the poorest families. Clara, touched by everyone's gratitude, felt proud to finally be able to take concrete action for those she had known all her life. However, not everyone accepted this new reality with open arms. Some residents, more jealous or distrustful, watched Nathan and Clara's every move with suspicion. "Why now?" they murmured. "Are they sincere, or are they just trying to show off?" Despite these tensions, the couple persevered with their plans. Nathan used his fortune wisely, while Clara ensured that all aid was distributed fairly, without favoritism. Their collaboration strengthened their love and bond. One afternoon, while they were overseeing the school renovation, Clara noticed a small group of children watching her shyly. She knelt down to speak to them and said gently, "You all deserve an education that will open the doors of the world to you. We will help you dream big, but above all, to believe in yourselves." Nathan, standing beside him, added, "And we will be there to support you, no matter what." The children's reaction was immediate, radiant smiles, bursts of laughter, and eyes shining with gratitude. For Clara, this was true wealth, seeing joy and hope reborn in the village. But this rise to power would not be without its challenges. Some jealous villagers began to spread rumors, and Nathan's old enemies, unaware of his discreet presence in the village, learned his true identity and saw an opportunity to exploit his wealth. Clara and Nathan understood that their happiness and newfound influence would attract envy and covetousness. Yet, faced with these obstacles, they remained united and determined. Their love and their faith in justice and solidarity would become their most powerful weapons to confront the trials to come. Thus, the couple entered a new phase of their lives. Not only were they transforming their village, but they were also discovering that wealth and power came with responsibilities, challenges, and sometimes unexpected enemies. As Nathan and Clara continued their projects to improve the village, tensions began to surface. Some residents, jealous of their wealth and influence, sought to sow discord. Insidious rumors circulated, "They're not sincere, their wealth will change them, Clara is taking advantage of Nathan." Clara, who until then had always trusted her husband and their intentions, felt a weight on her shoulders. The suspicious glances and constant whispers were beginning to affect her. She wondered if she could truly protect her love from the judgments of others. One evening, while they were having dinner at home, one of the village elders, Mr. Hargrove, showed up uninvited. He looked at Nathan with a mixture of defiance and condescension. "So, you're the one who deceived everyone?" Nathan, calm and respectful, replied, "I haven't deceived anyone, sir. My love for Clara and my desire to help this village are sincere." Nathan's words were not enough to appease Mr. Hargrove, who turned on his heel, muttering to himself. Clara felt a simmering anger rising within her. These criticisms, though unfair, only made her more determined than ever to prove that their love and actions were genuine. As the days went by, Nathan and Clara faced other challenges: sabotage of construction work, slanderous rumors, even attempts to divide the villagers against them. But each obstacle strengthened their bond. Clara discovered an inner strength she didn't know she possessed, and Nathan, ever attentive, never ceased to support and reassure her. One afternoon, while they were overseeing the construction of a new shelter for the children, Clara turned to Nathan and said, "No matter what people say, as long as we remain united, nothing can affect us." Nathan smiled at her and squeezed her hand. "Exactly. We survived the misunderstanding, the whispers, and soon we will show everyone that our love and our vision are stronger than jealousy." The village children, witnesses to their determination, gathered around them, bringing a breath of innocence and hope. Their presence reminded Clara that true love and good deeds always end up being recognized, even in the face of the harshest criticism. Thus, despite jealousies and attempts at sabotage, Nathan and Clara discovered that their love could withstand any storm, and that true power lay not in wealth, but in the trust and unity between them. A few weeks after the initial tensions, an unexpected event shook the village. A violent storm struck the region, destroying houses, sweeping away crops, and causing floods. For the inhabitants, the disaster seemed insurmountable, and some began to panic, fearing that their lives would be forever changed. Clara and Nathan, at the heart of this crisis, could not remain passive. They immediately organized relief efforts, mobilized the villagers, and used Nathan's wealth to buy supplies and materials to repair the damaged homes. But the task was immense. Some skeptical villagers doubted their ability to manage such a situation. One morning, while Clara was supervising the distribution of food, an old man shouted at her. "Even with all this wealth, you won't be able to repair what the storm destroyed." Clara, wiping the sweat and rain from her face, calmly replied, "We cannot control everything, but we can do everything within our power. And we will do it together." Nathan, standing beside him, was encouraging the villagers. "Each of us has a role to play. Together, we can rebuild and make this village stronger than before." This ordeal revealed both unexpected weaknesses and strengths. Clara discovered within herself a courage and organizational skills that impressed Nathan and the villagers. Nathan, for his part, demonstrated a natural leadership, capable of guiding and inspiring even those who had criticized him just weeks before. But this crisis also brought a new danger. Some enemies, jealous of their success and influence, saw an opportunity to sabotage their efforts to discredit Nathan and Clara. Rumors were spread, "They're using the storm to show off, their help is just a way to dominate the village." Clara and Nathan understood that their union and their love would be tested not only by the elements, but also by the mistrust and jealousy of others. Yet, instead of being discouraged, they intensified their efforts. The solidarity they showed gradually inspired the villagers, and the storm, which had initially sown fear, became the catalyst for a new cohesion and a growing respect for the couple. At the end of the week, as the rain stopped and the first rays of sunlight illuminated the flooded village, Clara and Nathan stood on the hill overlooking their village. The damaged houses were being repaired, the laughter of children echoed once more, and a sense of pride and accomplishment filled their hearts. Clara placed her hand on Nathan's and said, "We survived the storm, together." Nathan nodded with a smile. "And we will show everyone that nothing can break what we have built, our love, our village, and our shared dream." Thus, faced with adversity and jealousy, Clara and Nathan discovered that true strength lies not only in wealth, but in love, solidarity, and courage in the face of trials. A few months after the storm, Clara and Nathan were beginning to settle back into a harmonious routine in the village. The reconstruction work was almost finished, and the respect and trust of the villagers towards the couple had been strengthened. Yet, a new challenge arose, unexpected and more personal. A visitor from Nathan's family suddenly arrived in the village. He was an elegant man with piercing eyes, accompanied by a notary. He introduced himself to the villagers and declared, "I represent the Montclair family. Nathan has not honored certain family commitments. It is time for the truth to be revealed." Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. Nathan, initially calm, frowned. He took Clara's hand and whispered to her, "Stay by my side, everything will be explained." The notary produced an old document and, before the assembled villagers, announced that Nathan was the principal heir to a vast family fortune, including properties in several cities and countries. He also explained that some members of his family had attempted to contest his inheritance, arguing that he had chosen to live in the village while ignoring his responsibilities. The villagers, stunned, looked at Nathan with admiration but also with concern. Some feared that family conflicts would disrupt the peace and development of the village. Clara, sensing the rising tension, stepped forward and said in a firm voice, "Family feuds don't matter. What matters is what Nathan and I are doing here, for this village, for each and every one of you. Nothing and no one will change that." Nathan nodded, then turned to his visitor. "My life here, with Clara and the residents, is not an escape. It's my choice. My family can dispute it all they want, but I remain true to what I have built and to those I love." The notary, impressed by Nathan's determination and self-assurance, understood that this quarrel could not deter him from his chosen life. The townspeople, for their part, applauded Clara and Nathan, recognizing the strength and integrity of this couple who defied convention and obstacles. This confrontation revealed a deeper truth to Clara: Nathan was not just a rich and mysterious man, but a man capable of courage, loyalty, and devotion, ready to protect those he loved from all dangers. Their love, forged in simplicity and hardship, had withstood wealth, jealousy, and even family conflicts. This chapter of their lives demonstrated that true power lies in loyalty to one's choices and in shared love, not in money or power. Clara and Nathan, more united than ever, prepared to face the final obstacle that could threaten their happiness, the invisible threat of those who would envy their success and influence. Winter was fading, giving way to a vibrant spring. The village, transformed by Clara and Nathan's efforts, radiated prosperity and hope. Houses were repaired, schools renovated, and gardens bloomed once more. The inhabitants, once skeptical, now regarded the couple with respect and admiration. However, the newfound peace was not complete. Some jealous people, still driven by envy, sought to discredit Nathan and Clara. They spread rumors, tried to divide the villagers, and hoped that Nathan's wealth would become an obstacle rather than a help. One evening, as Clara and Nathan were walking through the lantern-lit village, Nathan took Clara's hand and said, "It doesn't matter what others think. We have overcome storms, jealousies, and family secrets. Together, we are invincible." Clara smiled, moved. "Everything we went through, it was worth every moment. And look around us, we changed the lives of so many people." The following day, at a large ceremony in the village square, Nathan officially announced the creation of a fund to support families, education, and healthcare. The villagers, young and old, applauded enthusiastically. Children ran around Clara, laughing and singing, living symbols of hope and renewal. Even those who had criticized or doubted them had to acknowledge their courage and generosity. Clara and Nathan had not only won the village's trust, but they had also proven that sincere love and loyalty to one's values could triumph over all adversities, whether they came from poverty, jealousy, or wealth itself. That day, Clara realized that her choice to follow her heart had changed her life irreversibly. Nathan was not just her husband, he was her partner, her friend, and the living symbol that true love could transform the world. As the sun set behind the hills, bathing the village in golden hues, Clara and Nathan held hands, contemplating their work and their future. They knew that the trials they had endured had made them stronger, and that their love, pure and sincere, would now be a legend for all those who came after them. The village, once skeptical and distrustful, became a place where solidarity, trust, and love triumphed over all obstacles. And at the heart of this miracle, Clara and Nathan shone, united forever by a bond that neither fortune, nor the judgment of others, nor the storms of life could break.